I used to think evil looked like a monster. Sharp teeth, cold eyes, a shadow that followed you home. But evil doesn't always come screaming. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it wears a ring and holds your hand in front of a crowd. Sometimes it tells you it loves you before it wraps its hands around your throat. My sister, Lily, was sunshine. Not in a cliché way. She really was light. She baked cookies for neighbors she didn't know. She cried during commercials. She forgave people who never deserved it. She believed love could fix anyone, even Ryan Caldwell. He was handsome, rich, charismatic, everything a girl like Lily dreamed of. Their engagement photos looked like magazine covers. He gave her a ring that could blind a person in sunlight. He came from old money, and with it, old power. But I never trusted him. I watched him at dinners, the way he touched her elbow too tightly when she laughed too loud, the way her smile dimmed when he entered the room. She stopped coming to our weekly coffee dates, said she was just busy. She started wearing long sleeves in summer. He said it was the air conditioning. The last time I saw her alive, she hugged me like it would be the last. I didn't realize it then. I didn't ask the questions I should have. She whispered, "Everything's fine," and I pretended to believe her. I didn't want to break the illusion she clung to. 2 weeks before the wedding, I got the call. They found her in her apartment, hanging, alone. The police called it suicide. No signs of forced entry, a note, but it said nothing, just, "I'm sorry." But I found the bruises. Purple rings beneath her blouse, finger-shaped. Her wrists were rubbed raw like she had fought the rope. She didn't own a rope. I found a burner phone under her bed. One voicemail unsent, her voice trembling. He found out I was going to leave. He said if I did, my family wouldn't be safe. He locked me in for 2 days. "Please, if you get this, don't believe whatever they say. I tried. That was enough. I buried her in the dress she never got to wear. The dress she showed me 6 months ago, glowing like a child holding a fairy tale in her hands. It looked too white in the coffin, too clean for the damage inside. I didn't cry at the funeral. Tears are for grief. I had passed grief. I was somewhere else now, somewhere cold. I stared at Ryan the whole time, watched him play the grieving fiancé, saw the way he wiped at eyes that were dry, the way his jaw clenched when I met his gaze. I knew. He didn't want a wife. He wanted control. When she tried to run, he made sure she wouldn't. I left the funeral early, went to a tailor. I asked them to make a duplicate of her dress. Same cut, same lace, same veil. They asked if it was for a tribute. I said yes. But it wasn't a tribute. It was bait. Ryan's family wanted the ceremony to go on, said it would be symbolic, that she would have wanted the celebration to happen. There was no shame in it, they said. So I let them believe I agreed. I called them, told them I wanted to honor her, that I would stand at the altar in her place, that it would give us all closure. Ryan paused, then agreed. I could almost hear the smirk behind the silence. He thought he had won. He thought the other sister would be easier. They set the date, sent out new invitations, modified the headline from wedding to remembrance ceremony. But the dress was still white. The guests still wore suits. The doors still locked from the inside once everyone arrived. I stepped into her life, into her shadow, smiled where she used to cry. And I waited for the lights to dim, for the crowd to drink, for the groom to look away, because I wasn't here for closure. I was here for justice. And this altar was going to be a grave. The morning of the ceremony, I braided my hair the way Lily used to, tight at the crown, soft near the ears. I dusted on her favorite blush, the one she wore when she wanted to feel strong. The mirror caught my reflection, but the eyes weren't mine anymore. They were hers, or something darker, wearing her face. The dress fit too well. I walked down the aisle to quiet organ music. The church was full, faces I didn't recognize, some I did. His family filled the first rows. Cold faces, polished smiles, old names. I remembered their silence at the funeral, the way none of them asked questions, the way one aunt said, "At least she's at peace now," like Lily was the problem all along. They all knew or suspected, and none of them did anything. Ryan waited at the altar in a black suit with a silver pin. A quiet nod greeted me. He didn't look twice. That was the key. He didn't see Lily anymore. He saw a prize, another version, another puppet. I took his hand. We faced the officiant. The speech was short, purposefully vague. He said we were here to remember Lily, to carry the spirit of love forward. The crowd nodded. They had their wine, their music, their illusion. They didn't see the knife tucked into the bouquet. After the vows, the reception began. I moved like a ghost between guests. I smiled, I hugged, I let them say kind things with rotten tongues. But I was listening. The groomsmen were all men of Ryan's circle, quiet professionals, private security, finance, the kind of men who shake hands in dark rooms and make threats over cocktails. They toasted him like a king, like a man who'd survived a tragedy and risen stronger. I waited until the wine flowed, until the guards relaxed, until the servers brought out the cake. I had baked a second cake. Hidden beneath the tablecloth was a black case. Inside was my real gift. I cut the music myself, took the microphone in hand. "Before we end the night," I said, "I want to thank you for coming, for honoring Lily, for pretending you didn't know what happened to her." Silence, the kind that spreads like poison. Ryan stood up, confused. I pulled out her burner phone. This belonged to my sister, hidden from him. She recorded something before she died. I played it. Her voice filled the hall. "To Europa. I'm scared. He won't let me go. He said he'd ruin everyone if I leave. If I disappear, it wasn't me." Gasps, chairs scraped, a woman dropped a glass. The sound of the truth cracked the room in half. Ryan lunged toward me. I pulled the knife from the bouquet and slashed across his chest. Not deep, just enough to draw blood, enough for the cameras. Then I pressed a button on the phone. Alarms screamed outside. The doors locked with magnetic bolts. Lights shifted to red. "You all came to a wedding," I said, "but this is a trial." I had rigged the hall with speakers, projectors. Each wall lit up with images. Lily's bruises, the autopsy, photos of Ryan grabbing her arm, yelling, the text messages I pulled from her tablet, the ones he tried to delete, threats, promises, lies. One by one, I called out names. A groomsman who helped cover the bruises with makeup, or a cousin who told Lily not to make a fuss, a bridesmaid who said Lily was overreacting. None of them left clean. "You helped kill her," I said. "You gave him the silence he needed, and now you'll all wear it." The exits stayed sealed. Gas canisters dropped from vents, harmless, but thick enough to blind. Screams broke out. I left Ryan last. He crawled, hand clutching his chest. "Please," he rasped. I leaned down. "She asked for help," I whispered. "You gave her a noose." "I didn't kill him. I gave him to the truth." The police were waiting outside. I'd sent them the whole file days earlier, with proof, with footage, with the recordings. When they kicked in the doors, the smoke cleared. Ryan was on the ground, covered in blood, and every single one of them was exposed. The wedding was over, but the reckoning had just begun. They called it the Red Wedding of Fairfield. The media didn't know what to make of it. A bride stepping into her dead sister's dress, a groom in handcuffs, guests vomiting into linen napkins, smoke and sirens. Some said I was mentally unwell, some called me a hero, most didn't know what to believe. But the recordings went viral. The voicemail, the photos, the evidence of abuse hidden behind money and charm. There was no spinning it, no burying it. The face that once charmed donors and politicians was now a national disgrace. His empire crumbled within weeks. Ryan was charged with coercion, battery, obstruction, and accessory to manslaughter. They tried to make it sound cleaner in the press, a toxic relationship turned tragic. But the court saw what I made them see. The mask he wore fell off in public. During his arraignment, he tried to say it was all a misunderstanding, that Lily was unstable, that the recordings were faked. His lawyers threw everything at the wall. Nothing stuck. The jury took 4 hours to convict. I sat in the front row, wearing black. He wouldn't look at me. He got 20, 2 years. Not enough for what he did, but enough to break the illusion he built around himself, enough for his name to rot. His family tried to save face, claimed no knowledge, but my sister's photos said otherwise. There were texts from his mother mocking Lily's hysteria, emails from his cousin warning him to keep the girl quiet. I released them one by one, drip-fed the truth to reporters like drops of acid. Public shame was a slow death. I visited Lily's grave the day after sentencing. The tombstone was simple, just her name, the dates, and a line I had etched myself. She tried to love the monster out of him. The wind was sharp, cold. It made the veil of my jacket whip like a flag. I stood there until the sun went down. I told her everything, that he was gone, that they all knew now, that her voice was louder dead than it ever was alive. But it wasn't over, because the wedding wasn't just for Ryan. It was for the guests who smiled while she faded, who called themselves friends and watched her fall apart. So I visited them, one by one. The bridesmaid who said Lily was dramatic, I sent her the diary entries, the ones she helped bury, each one a memory of silence. The cousin who gave Ryan the burner phone to track her, I sent him the voicemail and the police report tied to it. He was fired within the week. His wife left him 2 days later. The groomsman who helped Ryan erase bruises with makeup and excuses, I didn't send him anything. I just left a mirror on his porch, cracked through the middle, with Lily's name written on the glass. Some of them moved towns. Some vanished from social media. A few tried to apologize. I let them, but I never answered. I wasn't their confessional. I was the consequence. There was one more thing. Lily's wedding planner, a woman named Christine. She saw the signs, the changes in Lily's behavior, the dress fittings where Lily trembled, the tears, the canceled calls. She said nothing. Took the money, took the praise. I visited her last. She opened the door and froze. She recognized the dress. I didn't say a word. He just handed her a box. Inside was a photo album. Every page held a picture of Lily, the bruises, the fear, the hope before it all cracked. Beside each one, a caption of what Christine said. He's probably just stressed. All brides get cold feet. She'll thank him later. At the back of the album was a single line. You saw everything? She tried to close the door. I left before she could. Sometimes silence is the sharpest weapon. I didn't do it for revenge. Not really. I did it to make sure no one could ever pretend again. That no one could say, we didn't know, without seeing exactly how much they ignored. Lily died in a wedding dress. I made sure they remembered her in one too. But this time, they remembered the truth. I stopped wearing the dress after the trial ended. It hung in my closet, untouched. Still stained beneath the hem, still torn at the hip from when Ryan lunged at me during the ceremony. I didn't wash it. I didn't fold it. It stayed there like a ghost I refused to bury. People moved on. The headlines dried up. The reporters found new tragedies. The world forgot. But I didn't. I kept the burner phone in a locked drawer beside my bed. Some nights I played the voicemail. Just once. Just to hear her voice. Not because I needed reminding, but because I needed to remember that it was real, that Lily was real, that all of this wasn't just a nightmare wrapped in tulle and lace. Her apartment was still under my name. I paid the rent every month. The landlord thought I was grieving, and maybe I was, but I kept it as it was, frozen in the days before she died. The bookshelf was still crooked. The plant in the corner had long since withered. Her favorite mug still sat in the sink with tea stains on the rim. I left everything untouched. It wasn't a shrine. It was a reminder of what happens when people look the other way, when they confuse control with love, when they think abuse wears a mask instead of a smile. Ryan died in prison 3 years later. Some said it was suicide. Some said it was a hit. I never asked. I never cared. Death wasn't justice. It was a mercy he didn't deserve. I wanted him to live long enough to watch his legacy rot, to know the name Caldwell was now tied to disgrace, that his foundation was shut down, that his business partners turned on each other. But most of all, I wanted him to know that Lily would never be forgotten. And she wasn't. I started small. A website, a few scanned journal entries, her drawings, her poems. I published them anonymously at first, just her words, her story. Then the messages came. Women, men, people who said they saw themselves in her, who had lived in silence, who had clawed out from behind curtains and bruises and vows that felt more like chains. Then came the support groups, the college seminars, the outreach programs. The name Lily's Light began to spread. It was never about me. I never put my face on anything. Just her story, just her voice. She couldn't speak anymore, so I did. I got a letter once from Christine, the wedding planner. Long, hand-written, apologetic. She had quit the business, started volunteering at shelters, said she saw Lily in every woman who walked in scared. I burned the letter, not out of hate, but because I didn't need her guilt. Lily didn't need apologies. She needed a world that listened the first time. And now she had one. Every year on the day she died, I returned to the church. Not inside. Just to the garden behind it, where the flowers grew wild along the edge of the fence. I planted white lilies there the first year. Now they bloomed without help, strong, untamed. I brought no candles, no prayers, just silence, and a promise that I would never let the world forget her, that I would never let them rewrite the story. She was not weak. She was not naive. She was light, and they tried to snuff it out, but I took the flame, and I burned their lies with it.